Well, I'm here in the West Village, and today's video, in the cold, is all about my favorite places in this neighborhood. Let's get coffee. May I have a cappuccino, please? Thank you. I love this little place because it's like tucked on a side street. It's off the beaten path. And it feels like really part of the neighborhood, which in New York, it's disappearing very quickly. The big stores, the big chains, come onto the main avenues and get rid of places like this. So you really have to look to go down the side streets if you're not from here and explore, and then you come across a place like the Elk. Oh, candles. Those are pretty. So this is what I love doing. I love getting a drink and then sitting outside with a book or in the summertime when there are tables out here, if I have to write a letter to someone, I don't do it at home. Like if the weather is really nice, I ride my bike down here, I get a cappuccino and I sit outside on this beautiful side street, Charles Street, and I write my letter. This street particularly has beautiful architecture right around this coffee shop. Right over there is an old fire hall. That was like a fire station. And at the very top of the building is a little horse's head. And then there are townhouses on this street that are also just really iconically West Village old, like 1840s, 1850s townhouses that are just so beautiful. And just sitting here and absorbing that atmosphere is what I love doing. What I also love doing on this street is bringing my watercolors here when the weather's nice and just sitting over there and looking around me and painting things like this doorway or the facade of that police building. That's an old police station over there. I painted that one. I painted this red brick building. I painted those garage doors on the firehouse, the blue garage doors. I think I've painted almost every single building adjacent or across from the coffee shop in my little watercolor sketchbook. I love a good hardware store, and this one is maybe my favorite in all of New York City, Garber Hardware. It's been around for a long time. I'm here with Scott Schoen, who is the owner
Correct.
of Garber Hardware, which is my favorite hardware store in New York City. I found this place on my bike one day when I needed something, and I came in, and this is not in my neighborhood, but every time I need to really find something specific at a hardware store, I come down here by bike. And recently, Scott introduced himself. You're a descendant of the original owner?
Yes, my cousin and I are partners.
Yeah.
And we're the 5th generation owners here.
It goes back to what year?
1884. So This is
Wow.
our 140th year.
So I want to show you all something that I discovered here specifically, which is one of the reasons why I come here. You have a little stash of brass nuts and bolts. And I didn't know that those are no longer really readily available. I just was poking around,
Yeah.
and I was looking for nuts to use as weights for candle dipping, and I found some brass ones, and I was like, oh, brass.
Beautiful.
They're beautiful, and they won't rust, and I was like, I'll just buy some of these, and I've been coming back ever since. I need 10 more. Can you show us where they are,
sure.
please?
More loose nuts.
Okay, so all of these are brass, and how old are these?
Older than me and you.
Really?
So I don't know, to be honest with you.
And they don't make them anymore?
I'm sure they make them.
Oh, here they are. Like,
Oh, you found it? Those
oh,
are
actually, yeah,
5/16.
these would do.
Yeah. All this stuff is, I'm sure, still made. It's just not nearly as every day as it once was.
Yeah. So I need 10 of these. 2, 4, 6, 8. And actually, I'm just going to take 14 just in case. And you know, the thing about these is that they're so utilitarian, and I'm using them for something that's really kind of old world, like candle dipping. But just seeing them, like seeing them on the counter when they're laid out, when I have to set up for candle dipping, they make me happy.
Yeah.
Like it's funny how something so kind of simple like this can become really special. You can't eat those. One of the things that I love doing when I happen upon a hardware store in New York City and I have an inkling that it's old is I root around. Like I look at everything because I've found things that are tucked away and hidden like these that just aren't even made anymore. I have one drawer in my kitchen. My kitchen's like a galley kitchen and there's only one drawer. And when I redid it myself, I wanted like an old brass bin pull, but I wanted an old one because they're remaking them.
Yeah.
So I found this hardware store in my neighborhood, poked around, and sure enough, there was a box, and it was like Sheffield brass or something. It said made in England, and they were expensive. They were still expensive. They were like $50 each. But finding that, I touched that thing multiple times every single day.
Yeah.
And that's kind of not lost on me, that it was well made and it was just sort of covered in, the box was covered in dust at this hardware store. And that's why I do it wherever I find a hardware store. Because I never really know what I'm going to find.
Yeah, I try to keep this place pretty neat,
Yeah.
but it's still acceptable to some degree in a hardware store to have like areas for rummaging around and stuff.
And you, because the business has been going since the 1880s, you have stuff that has sort of stuck around, right?
Yes.
And Scott actually pulled out some things that to show us from the business that has been kicking around. Will you take us back there, please?
Yeah, sure.
It's very exciting.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Twine. Well, we got to talk about this later. I have a toy, like a twine fetish.
Many people do. These are old gas valves
Oh, wow.
from when like people had gas lighting and stuff in the home.
Look at this. Look at this little... You know what I always say is like, they didn't have to put that design on it.
Yeah.
They didn't have to make it a heart. But they did.
Mm-hmm.
Even for something as simple and utilitarian as that. Okay, I'm just very interested to hear what you think. Why? Why take the extra time to make this pretty?
You know, I don't know. A lot of reasons probably, but you know, it was made probably by hand to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
So the people making it probably took a little bit of pride in it, and it was used like every night.
Yep.
You know, so
you would turn it off? Like when you were done cooking, you would actually turn the valve off?
well, this was for light.
Oh, for light.
Yeah,
Like for the gas lamps.
right.
In a home? Like, or in an apartment?
As far as I understand, yes.
Wow. Oh, so this was the switch.
Correct.
This was kind of like the light switch.
Mhm.
I didn't understand that when you pulled this out. Wow. So you would really see this.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be in a cupboard.
No.
Oh. I mean, this is what I think, like, for me, it always serves as an inspiration as a creator. When I'm doing something, this reminds me, take the time, make it prettier.
Yeah.
Make it nicer, because someone's going to touch this and someone's going to hold it. If I'm making a mug or a flower pot, someone's going to be using this. And every little detail, like even when I sign my name on the bottom or put the year, I take the conscious effort to make the 2024 pretty.
Yeah.
It does make a difference.
It does, and
That's
I
beautiful.
think appreciation for that kind of stuff is growing because it's not as common as it once was.
Yeah. And then what's this?
This is more like from the 80s, 70s, and 80s when people were like really wanted to lock their apartment doors. They used to have these police locks, which are now illegal because they're dangerous
Yeah.
if they need to like
Get in.
But you would mount this on the door.
Yeah.
And there would be a long brass rod from the lock to the floor, like at an angle. So if someone's trying to push the door in,
They couldn't.
they couldn't.
The magic. Look at this. The magic eye police lock, and the screw is the the center of it. I love that.
These are old soldering irons, which I thought were really beautiful.
Yeah. Look at this.
They have little sizes stamped into them. This is like before plumbers could carry around propane and stuff, so they would heat these up like with candles or torches and melt solder that way. And
they're made in the USA. Wow.
These are pretty cool because they're from like I imagine they're from like World War II era. First of all, the assorted washers, and you can see the recycled material, like when they were trying to save metals and stuff.
For the tin.
Yeah.
Like it was turned inside out.
Right.
Wow. Oh yeah, they turned it inside out and then they painted this. That is so cool. Wow. And then I saw something over here.
Yeah.
Was this is just kicking around here?
Just kicking around.
Look at this thing. This is for wringing out a mop?
Wringing out a mop,
Like it would be mounted to a bucket?
Mounted to a big galvanized bucket.
And this is heavy.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful thing. Wow. Well, Scott, I'm going to go into the shop and continue to look around. I'm going to share with everyone my favorite things to look at in a hardware store. But thank you so much for having us. Thank you for bringing us back here.
Thank you.
And thank you for keeping this alive.
My pleasure.
It really is the part of what makes New York City feel real. This section is a section that I always visit in a hardware store, gloves. Because every hardware store has a different selection of gloves. And I end up like looking through the gloves, finding a pair that I don't have or that is a different texture or material than anything else that I have. And then I have like a stash of gloves at home. And I end up using all of them for different things. Like, do they have them here? Like these gloves right here. These Librette gloves that are cloth on one side, but that are rubber on the inside. These are just like regular work gloves. But if I'm moving things, especially like moving flower pots, I find, and I've just fired flower pots in Rhode Island, and I'm moving them from the kiln to the car. Gloves like this, they just protect my hands. And whenever I've forgotten my gloves and I'm doing them with my bare hands, by the end of the day, my hands are just cracked and they're so dry. So I've become so reliant on using gloves. And in a store like this, where there's such a large variety, one of the most important things for me is finding a pair that fits. My hands are pretty small, so it's hard finding small-sized gloves. But this is really what I do. I just look. I usually start with the size. And here we go. This is a small pair. And oh, look at these. I don't have a pair like these. This rubber is a lot thicker. These are nice. Oh yeah, those are great. This is like this rough rubber would be very good for gripping. So here is an example of something that I have found that I have never seen before. I don't have a pair like this. I'm going to get these today. I also get like long, full rubber gloves when I'm doing things like, as one does, dyeing a skein of yarn that they spun on the spinning wheel in a big vat of indigo that they made from their own pea. You need really long gloves. So, like, you need good thick rubber gloves. And that's why, like, oh, here's an even better pair. The thing about finding the gloves and then storing them for later is that when you need them, or when the reason comes up to use the gloves, and you don't have them, you're like, oh, I just wish I had a pair that was suitable for this. And this is why this is so, it's kind of a very important thing in my life. Gloves.
No.
Excuse me. I just love hardware stores. Like, I love grocery stores. I love art and craft supply stores, and I love hardware stores. Here we have mats. Mats for your front door. And this is the sort of mat that I do not like. Like, I don't like these. But the thing about like looking in every hardware store that I pass is eventually you find one that you do like. So this is my advice to people. Don't settle. Something like this, you might think, oh, I need a rubber mat for my winter boots for my entrance. But you're going to see that every single day in the winter. You're going to come in out of the cold to your lovely, warm, cozy house. And the first thing that's going to greet you is the mat. And this is where there is an opportunity to use this thing that you need to kind of beautify your life in a small way. So when you find something like this, just because you need it, don't settle for it. Don't get it. Look further. Go somewhere else. Do some digging, because eventually, instead of finding something like this, hey, if you like this and this excites you, great. But for me, this is where it pays off to just really look, because I only see one of these. But this is a very utilitarian thing, but it's beautiful. This is made out of sisal or coconut fiber. What is it made out of? This product is made from 100% natural fiber, made in India. And I just think that this is so beautiful. And putting that on the ground inside your front door and coming in and stepping on this even feels nice to step on with my boots. And this is what I'm talking about. Look at this whole rack here. They're all natural fibers, but they're all different kinds. There's that one. There's this one. Look at this. There's this. There's this one. Every single one is different. I am assuming that they were handmade. Look at that. Here's yet another one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 or 5 different styles of natural woven mat. Look at this thing. The boot scrubber. I would not bring this into my home. I just wouldn't. I would rather put my boots on the hardwood floor, allow them to drip, make some mess, and mop it up later. Or take them off outside my front door, leave them in the hallway. This is something that I would be very happy to bring into my apartment. Every single thing that passes my threshold to me is something that I should be excited about and I should love, even if it's completely utilitarian, like a boot mat. But even a boot mat has the potential to be a beautiful thing. And this is why, to me, when I pass a hardware store, I just go in and look around and explore. Because you just don't know what you're going to find. I didn't know I was going to find these today. I think one of these has to come home. Okay, now which one? Now it's the hard part of deciding which one. I'm just going to put them. We don't need that one because that one's a little big for my entrance. But this is what I do. Now, you have to try them out. Goldilocks thinks this one's better than that one. Goldilocks thinks this one's better than that one. It's tough. It's really tough. That's the upside. That's upside down. Oh, this is the right side up. They're so nice. So when I get down to brass tacks and I'm really trying to decide, I do look at everything and just look at this edge here. Look at how this has been tied together. I mean, the top has been cut so that it's almost like a carpet, but the edge and the back, it's a beautiful thing. When I went to Sri Lanka with my uncle and we were visiting his my family's old childhood homes, we went through markets where they were selling all this stuff made of coconut fiber and palm leaves woven, shopping bags made of dried palm leaves that all the older ladies were carrying in the market. And this stuff was so beautiful, but beyond being beautiful, that you could feel when you were, I bought a few of those shopping bags, you feel something when you're holding them. You feel a human connection. And this is in a hardware store in the back in the West Village in New York City. And yet when I touch this thing, this is also why I don't buy things online regularly. I want to touch the thing. I want to hold it and I want to feel it. And when I touch this thing, I am feeling the plant, but I also feel like I can feel that some person made this, and they made this with care. I think I'm going to get this too. I've never seen anything like this. It's so beautiful, very functional. Okay. What else? Oh, steel wool. I use steel wool like for my projects. I'm always using steel wool. Last week I painted a wooden box with milk paint, and I was like, let me try steel wool. Very fine steel wool at the end. The steel wool ended up polishing the milk paint, like it made it shiny, because there's all different grades of steel wool. Fun. This is what makes hardware stores fun. Found some things.
Okay.
The twine section is another section that I visit in any hardware store because there's always an assortment, and I use this stuff for wrapping gifts. I use it for tethering things to my bike when I'm traveling, like for usually during the holidays when I'm carting stuff home as gifts to Toronto. I pack it all in a box and I end up using twine to create like a handle to carry the box. And that's why I always check out what's available. And the twine here at Garber Hardware, the selection is great. They have this natural rope in all these different thicknesses. It's just, this is so beautiful. I have some of this for tethering things to my bike, like to the basket if I'm bringing home topiaries or some huge thing, or carting a slab of marble home from Brooklyn, which I have done. Carted it over the Williamsburg Bridge. My friend Laura was riding behind me and said, "You're crazy." This is where this stuff comes in handy. And there's just, I love just butcher twine for use in the kitchen. Also great for wrapping up gifts. But if you really look, you end up finding like all kinds of different things. Look at this. Cotton Venetian blind cord. Parcel post twine. So this is finer than this. If I had a big gift and I'm wrapping it with like a brown paper package tied up with string, if it's a big box, I would use this. If it's a small box, if I was wrapping up a pair of candles maybe, I would use the finer twine. I believe you can never have too big of an assortment of twine. if you have the space for it. So, one thing that you might not know about me is I love Chinese food. And I love like real New York takeout, not fancy Chinese food. And this is my favorite Chinese takeout place in all of New York. You guys say? That's what I learned in Hong Kong.